Yeah, Nowzad's first started back in 2006 when I was a serving Royal Marine Commando down in Helmand Province. I never went there to obviously promote animal welfare or start anything like this, but we're actually out on patrol and we came across a dogfight. And dogfighting is sadly a national sport here in Afghanistan. We broke up that dogfight, not realising though that one of those dogs was actually going to adopt me. We named him Nowzad because of the town we were actually in. And that dog, Nowzad, actually befriended me and became sort of like my 5 minutes of just not being in Afghanistan. I'd come in off patrol, I could sit with him and just pretend I wasn't there. And so at the end of 6 months, I couldn't bear to leave him behind, so I hatched a cunning plan to get him out of Afghanistan and back to the UK and into quarantine. I mean, lots of people deal with stress in different ways, and I kind of always relate it to people back home. If you had a bad day in the office, you might get home, and if you've got a dog, you then look forward to taking him out for a walk, and that's the way you just kind of de-stress. And so for me down in Nowzad in Helmand Province, it was just the same. I couldn't actually take him for a walk, but I could sit with him, play with him, give him some treats and some biscuits, and it was just not being on the front line for those 5 or 10 minutes, and it was just the way I sort of got through it.
Unexpectedly, we had an opportunity to send a dog to America to be trained as a PTSD service dog for a soldier or a veteran that was suffering from PTSD, having served here, Iraq, Vietnam, places like that. We selected the dog. She went to America, passed her training course, and obviously was paired up with a veteran. And since then, we've actually managed to select 2 more dogs from the shelter that have both gone on, successfully completed their service training, and have now been paired up with veterans in America. So that is something we hope to continue doing.
One of the most poignant rescues that we ever had to come through the Nowzad Clinic and Shelter was the story of Peg and Private Conrad Lewis of the Parachute Regiment. Conrad was serving down in Helmand Province. We obviously knew nothing about him until I got a phone call back in England from a guy called Tony Lewis, which is Conrad's dad. And Tony told me outright that his son had been killed by a Taliban sniper just a month before. And his son was actually looking after a dog called Peg. And all the letters that Conrad had written home and the phone calls he had made had been about this dog Peg, and how he was basically bringing comfort to the guys and was just a positive distraction from what they were doing. And Conrad also mentioned that he would at some point like to try and get Peg a home in the UK. And obviously the father, Tony, had said to me, right, well, that was my son's wish, can you make it happen? But we had no idea where in Helmand Peg was. And obviously it's not information that's given out, so we had to pull in a few favours to actually find out where Conrad's troop actually were, and if they still had the dog, and thankfully they were still looking after Peg. And we managed to get Peg out of Helmand and up to the shelter. And then just over 2 years ago now, we were able to reunite the family with the dog that their son had always been talking about. And for us, that's still one of our, like I said, the most poignant rescue and the most meaningful rescue we've ever done.